The following program is seen statewide on California Public Television.
Hi, I'm Huell Hauser, and you know one of the most interesting things about living here in Southern California is all the different kinds of architecture we have around us. Take houses, for example. They come in all shapes and sizes, and that's what tonight's special is all about, as we visit some of the more unusual and unique houses here in Southern California. I call it our House and Lawn Show, and it's coming up right now.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on this farm he had a cat, E-I-E-I-O, with a meow meow.
Have you ever wondered whether there really is such a person as Old MacDonald? And if so, does the fellow really have a farm? Well, I can't answer that question for sure, but I have a feeling that if Old MacDonald showed up, he'd feel real comfortable right here on the side of the street in Rancho Park.
Now, I know land in L.A. is at a premium, but Larry Musselman has taken land use to the max and has turned the parkway in front of his house into a thriving vegetable garden. It's located right across the street from the Rancho Park golf course, and you can find him right out on the sidewalk hoeing his corn and peas just about every morning. Now, Larry's a native of Missouri who moved to L.A. as a young man, and to him, growing a garden in this little sliver of land called a parkway makes perfect sense.
I guess I've been doing this for 10 years or more. Didn't have room in the backyard, and besides you have a dog, well, you can't have a garden and a dog in the same little space.
What do the neighbors comment about this thing?
Well,
I guess they're used to it now after 10 years, though, aren't
well,
they?
yes, but you get people coming by here, they're very interested in it. They want to know, well, what is this and what is that? And they bring their kids by. They haven't seen a lima bean or a ear of corn, so it's interesting for the people.
Is this a good place to grow a garden in the sense of the soil and the irrigation and all of that? I mean, is this just as good a garden as you could grow in your own backyard?
Oh, yes. It takes less water than grass, I believe. And the soil, it's the same here as you would have in the backyard. I have put a lot of mulch in it and steer manure and whatnot.
Well, you probably have the best kept parkway in the city, don't you? At least the best fertilized.
The best fertilized, right. These are cucumbers,
right.
Bush cucumbers.
Well, they won't be in for a while.
No. They go faster than you think, though. And that's eggplant. And then we have red beets here. Last year I had a red beet that weighed 9 pounds.
Out of this garden?
Out of this garden.
Well, here we are picking beans.
Picking beans, how super. And look at how nice they are.
Now, at first, I thought this was just going to be a social visit. But before long, Larry and his wife, Georgie, had put me to work picking beans, which were growing in another parkway next to the strawberries.
I've got 2.
Is that okay?
That's okay. I'm not counting. If you can find them, you can have them at this point.
That's a real strawberry.
You bet.
That's what you call a homegrown strawberry, right?
This is our pride and joy. The things that we have grown in our garden and canned.
That is just amazing.
This is that 9-pound red beet today.
Oh, these are the beets.
These are the big red beets that.
And what are these
giant
green things?
These are zucchini pickles.
Oh, okay.
And these are kumquats from our backyard. And these are burgundy pears. We go fishing, and this is our salmon that we can. And the tomatoes.
I know tomatoes.
Yeah,
and these are peaches.
Apricots and peaches. These are curry pickles, my special recipe of curry pickles that I do every year. And pears. And apricot jam. And chutney. Our chutney from the kumquats. Really good chutney.
Okay, now let me show you my toy here. This is an apple peeler that we used on the farm back in Missouri, and I guess it's 60, 70, easy 70 years old. And let me show you how it works.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that fantastic?
Boy, that peels them all right.
In a hurry. And perfect.
Now, what happens to all these peeled apples?
Well, all these peeled apples goes into the jar for our delicious applesauce for the year.
So this is your homemade applesauce.
You better believe it. And they're going to get marked with dates and names, and then they go on our shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And I want this. Something else happens. I'm going to show you. This goes in here.
Oh, good grief. Look at this.
We need too. Oh, this doesn't go on the shelf, however, but that's what happens with these gorgeous apples.
So this is literally a homemade apple pie.
Homemade apple pie. You
with
bet.
your own apples.
With our own apples.
Peeled by your apple peeling machine.
From Missouri.
From Missouri.
So even though Larry and Georgie Musselman live in a residential section of West LA just 2 blocks off busy Pico Boulevard, it hasn't kept them from growing a garden, even if that garden is located in the parkway around their house. Now from the Musselmans' rather unusual front yard. Since this is a house and yard show, next let's go visit an unusual house.
Welcome to Glendora, a quiet little community nestled in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. Now, when you drive through Glendora, you see lots of nice little houses like that one. I guess you'd call that ranch style, wouldn't you? But we've also run across a house here that's not exactly ranch style. In fact, it defies description. In fact, I've never seen anything like it before in my life.
Now I knew from the minute I walked through the front gate I was in for a treat. An honest-to-goodness castle right in the middle of Glendora. A castle complete with towers and turrets, drawbridges and cannons. A castle Michael Rubel calls home. You see, he and his friends started building it back in 1959 on the site of the old Dalton Reservoir. It took them 25 years to finish. But now that it is finished, it's a real showplace. It's also a dream come true for Michael, who built his first castle when he was 9.
Now, you've always obviously been fascinated with forts and castles and...
I think everyone is. I think all children, or most boy children anyway, build forts. Mm-hmm. And we grew up next to the city dump. And having all that resource at my fingertips was just marvelous because I could build huge forts out of it.
Yeah, and you actually built, these things are
right.
very complicated and very...
They were until they fell down.
But I mean, there was a lot to this.
They were very complicated, but they were horribly, they're very junky. Mm-hmm. We had lots of fun. All the kids in the neighborhood would come over and we'd hammer away and build until it would fall down, and mothers would be concerned. But one time we made a fire escape because one of the ladies demanded that we have a fire escape. So
your fort?
In our fort, so.
Now this is when you were 9.
That's right. Well, 9 through 12 on these.
9 through 12.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then you grew up.
No, I never grew up. That's why I'm still building castles. People that grow up don't do these things.
Yeah, that brings me to the question. How did
well, I
this
didn't
come about?
want to disappoint all my friends. You know, as a child, I kept building these huge forts, and they loved it. And then as I got older, they kept wanting to build forts. And eventually I said, all right, well, let's build a big one then. Here it is.
That's the understatement of all time. How did you start? How did you...
Well, we had to dig huge trenches and fill them full of cement and steel. Had to go out and scavenge practically everything. I had a benefactor who paid for all my cement. And we put railroad track in the concrete, you know, for reinforcing, because we could get that from the Feather River project. They were throwing it all away.
Now, where did all the people come from who made this work, who built it?
Just hundreds of friends. You know, each person would have 5 friends, and they'd have 5 friends, and they'd say, let's go up and play up at the fort, you know, and I'd make them suffer, you know.
Yeah, because this isn't play. This is
it's hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'd last 2 or 3 hours, and then they'd leave, and another bunch of people would come. And parents really liked it because they could trust the place for their children. So I had all this free labor. And a lot of parents would bring food at lunchtime and donate stuff. And if ever I needed anything like telephone poles or anything, I just put the word out. And within minutes, it seemed like somebody would be rolling in with a truck. Here it is, Michael. You know?
Now, walking around the castle grounds is a real experience because this isn't your ordinary run-of-the-mill castle. You never know what's around the next corner. It's a castle full of fun and surprises, all of which Michael loves to share with his friends. What do you call this thing?
That's a portcullis, actually, but we call it a drawbridge, too, just because it sounds neater.
Now, will that thing lower? Can you lower it?
Go on down. There you go. See there? It's all magic.
That is amazing. Look at this thing. And this is built, I guess, the way they were originally built years ago.
Well, they build them a lot better than we build them, but we had more fun.
That is something else. And now it's down.
Yeah, that keeps
and nobody can get in?
Well, it actually keeps us in at night so the neighbors don't complain.
Now, this is part of the old reservoir that you built all of this around. Where did you get all of these rocks?
Out of the San Gabriel Canyon.
Really?
They all came from there, yes. And we had to lift them into the truck, out of the truck, into a buggy, over here, dump them into the lifter, and then up they went, and into the cement they went. I put cable in on all the concrete. This thing could be turned upside down and hold together like a big bed spring. Yeah.
Really?
It would.
So it's well built.
It's very well built, and that's the reason it's held up in these huge earthquakes. I mean, when you have a 75-foot tower and you have a 5.5 earthquake and you don't get a crack, oh, thank God.
So none of this is, so you haven't had a single crack?
Not a single fault has been created in the castle with these earthquakes, and I'm so grateful.
The wall is also full of bottles.
Well, over the years, the neighbors would bring me bottles, and school children would bring me bottles, and I just stick them in the wall for the joy of it all. We'd sometimes run out of bottles, and so we'd just work with rocks until somebody brought over another basket full, and we'd stick them in again.
Did this become a community project?
Yes,
Would people bring you big boxes of bottles?
Yes, hundreds of people contributed stuff, you know, junk and whatever to put in the walls.
So it wasn't just the bottles, it was like things like the motorcycle wheels?
And trophies from neighbors that would bring them to me, and anything that somebody wanted to get rid of, if it was unsightly, we'd put it in the middle of the wall.
So there's stuff we don't even see that's in the wall.
Tons and tons. If you'll notice, these walls are 6 feet thick, see, so there's a lot of junk in the middle, too. Bed springs and...
What is the story behind these clockworks?
Well, this clock was built in 1890, so it's 100 years old this year, and there were only 6 of these particular clocks built. It was built by Seth Thomas, and it's actually a weight-driven clock. The weights are up in the tower, and as they come down in the tower, it runs these spindles.
I bet the neighbors love this, don't they?
They love the bells. The big bell weighs 3,200 pounds, and the small bell weighs 1,900 pounds, and the neighbors just love it. In fact, they're my biggest supporters.
Is the clock ever slow or fast, or does it ever miss a beat?
It is, because I play with it all the time because I can't keep my hands off of it. So sometimes I come in and or the dog bumps the pendulum and stops it, or the earthquake a few months ago changed it by 4 seconds.
Now it's getting ready. It looks to me like,
oh, there it goes.
Here it goes. It's 12 o'clock.
It's 12 o'clock, and it's starting to ring right now, and the big bell will chime 12 times. Oh, that's the noon whistle.
Now what's that? That doesn't have anything to do with this, does it?
No, the noon whistle just went off because it's on another timer, electronic timer, and it's off an 1872 steam engine. And you can hear it several miles away.
So one thing about the people who live adjacent to your castle, they always know what time it is.
Not only what time it is, but the peacocks and the bells and the whistles, I don't know how they put up with me, but they do.
What is it like to live in a castle?
Well, there are a lot of people come and visit it. Friends primarily. We're not open to the public at all. I can't handle that. It'd be like Knott's Berry Farm if I opened the gate. We have electric trained people that have a room here. We have darkroom man and blacksmith and pottery workers, and they're all good friends, and they're all people that have helped me build a castle, so they have as much a right to using it as I do.
So it really is like an extended family.
It is, exactly. Very much so. I really am thankful. First of all, I'm thankful we never hurt anybody. Second of all, I'm thankful it's still here. And third, I'm thankful that people enjoy it, because having people enjoy it is very important.
Is this the logical extension of your dreams as a boy? Did you ever really dream that when you were a grown-up, you were going to build a real castle?
Yes, I thought about it constantly. When I was flunking out of school, I said, you know, if I'm not going to do well scholastically, I might as well go home and build a fort. And this is what I did, because I didn't do well out in the real world, and I did really well hauling rocks around. You don't have to be very bright to haul a rock around.
Yeah, but I think you gotta have something.
Persistence.
Persistence.
Exactly, and it has to be an obsession. It's like a person who does a great book. It's an obsession with him, or anybody that does something that's more different than other people. He generally has an obsession. It's not something he really has control of. Mm-hmm. He wants to do it all the time.
You know, most of us only dream of living in a castle, but Michael Rubel, through years of hard work and persistence, has made his dream come true. And the nicest part of it all is that he shared it with us. Now, from Michael's castle, we go next up to Ventura County to visit with a delightful lady who's going to show us her front yard.
You know, there are a lot of people in Los Angeles who spend a lot of time in art galleries and art museums, looking at all the expensive art done by a well-known artist. But there's another kind of art that I like a lot. It's called folk art. And if you like folk art, you gotta come to the city of Ventura, meet Beatrice Wyatt, and see her front yard.
It's a front yard that's literally filled with stuff. And when I say stuff, that's exactly what I mean. Everything from colored plastic to paper cups, from hand-painted rocks to hand-painted football helmets. It's all there and more. Now, to be honest, I'm sure some of you are saying to yourselves right now, that's just a bunch of junk. Well, technically it may be junk, but not really. You see, Beatrice started collecting, painting, and arranging her yard art soon after her husband passed away to keep her mind busy. She's never had an art lesson in her life, never studied design, but she is, in fact, a self-taught master at it. Each one of these objects is carefully placed and has a special meaning to her. The yard is meticulously clean, and to say it's colorful is an understatement. So get ready as Beatrice Wyatt shares with all of us her yard and her enthusiasm for art.
How much time do you spend working on this yard?
In the morning when I wake up, I say I'm going to get out there and see how it look out there. And if it's too much leaves and things out here on the ground, I sweep them up. And the time that mind hit me to go to paint, I go to paint. That's the whole truth.
Come on, let's walk around here and see. Now you got a football helmet here.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that?
I don't remember. I pick up anything people put in the trash. I go to the trash barrels and things and get pretty things.
Really?
That's what.
Stuff that other people throw away.
That's right, and I don't steal nothing.
So sometimes you take things and you rearrange it.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, for example, let's look down here. Now, look at that. Are you happy with the way that looks right now?
I done already rearranged this. See?
What do you mean? Explain that to me. Show me how you've rearranged it.
I had them all scattered around, and now the more they scatter around, the more I build them up, make them small so they won't look raggedy. I want them to be neat, you understand?
You don't know or care what any of this stuff is?
No, I don't care. As long as it's pretty to me, and I don't care if people don't like it. If I like it, I'm satisfied.
Yeah, because a lot of people might see this and not think it's pretty.
Uh-huh. Well, that don't worry me. I just look at things and I say, that's pretty. And when I get through fixing it together, it looks pretty. It really is. That's no kidding.
Boy, I tell you, you keep seeing, oh look, you got candy canes hanging out of the bucket here.
That's pretty. See, I look for pretty things. See how pretty that is?
That's beautiful. Right here on your tree.
Oh, yes, indeed.
It's Christmas 365 days a year here in your yard, isn't it?
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Now, let's look at this right here. Tell me what's your favorite thing you see right out in here. Do you have favorite things?
Blue, 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 blue.
So blue's your favorite color?
Yeah, blue is my, look at this, that's pretty to me. See, anything I see, I don't care where it is. When they done throw it away, I pick it up and bring it home, put it in my yard. That's what I do. See, idle mind is the devil's workshop, and I don't let the devil in.
Well, I guess not. The devil couldn't find his way through all of this if he tried to.
No, he couldn't. The devil can't fool with me, because I do what I got to do and go in the house and lay down and go to sleep.
Now, what is this, Beatrice?
I don't know the name of it. I saw it and I liked it, and I just picked it up and brought it home and painted it myself. I did this painting.
Uh-huh.
See?
And you put this thing up here.
Yeah, I did everything.
And this thing here.
Yeah.
And you hung this cord down off her wing.
Yes, sir.
You know, this is called modern art.
Is that right?
Folk art.
I don't care. I don't know what they call it, but whatever my eyes see and I like it, I go to work at it. You understand?
Have you ever thought about having a show?
No. No.
Hanging it up and putting it somewhere in a gallery or a museum or something?
No. My mind's just right here. See? I didn't know I was going to come out this way.
Uh-oh, I dropped something.
But that's all right, leave it there. I'll fix it later. That's all right.
Well, doesn't it have to be exactly?
No, the wind blow them down sometime and I'll pick them up, so don't worry about it.
Okay, now where the tour continues back here. And you know what? I laid my sunglasses down somewhere.
Uh-oh. I haven't seen them.
Boy, I'm serious.
You wasn't in here.
No, I had them.
First time you was in here.
Somewhere around here.
Uh-oh.
They were expensive sunglasses, too.
Oh, you should have let somebody hold them for you.
Well, maybe I've just added something to your collection here.
Probably you did. So.
Now we're ready to put the finishing touches.
Okay, yeah, I'll go now. I'm finishing it up.
Now, that's nice.
That's easy as taking candy from a baby.
I like that. Now, why did you decide to do it like that instead of making stripes?
Listen, I can't do everything alike. I do them different. If everything was alike, it wouldn't be attractive to people.
Uh-huh.
You got to have different things for people to make a decision and pick out what they like better.
Well, can I do something? Can I just touch it?
Touch it!
So it's whatever I want to do, right?
Do what you want to do.
So I can just go...
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
That's all right. You can go this way, too. See? See that?
I think I'm an artiste. What do you think?
Let me get it a little better down here. It ain't quite wide. Then you go around this way.
What kind of comments do you get from people when they drive by?
Oh, my goodness alive. Don't ask that, honey. I'd be talking here all the evening.
Well, what do they say? What do they say to you?
Ooh, you got that's the prettiest yard I ever seen in my life. Ooh, I never seen a yard so pretty. That's what a lot of them say.
Uh-huh.
That's the truth.
So you get people coming by here all the time looking at it?
All the time.
Well, you should start charging admission.
Well, I ain't know nothing about that.
I'll be your agent. I'll take care of all that for you, okay? Come on, let's walk around a little bit more.
I got a one-track mind, and that is to make things look pretty.
Uh-huh.
That's what I like.
You know, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And as far as Beatrice Wyatt is concerned, her front yard is beautiful, filled to overflowing with objects other people have thrown away. Objects she has painted and fussed over and carefully arranged because she likes to make things look pretty.
Now, Beatrice isn't the only person with a colorful front yard here in Ventura. You may remember a couple of years ago we visited with Mr. James Gimignani, the windmill man. who by absolute coincidence lives only about a half a mile from here. So we thought it'd be a nice idea to include his video log in tonight's special. Here goes. You can find him out in the front yard at his workbench under the big tree just about every day. 85-year-old James Gimignani, who came to this country from Italy when he was a young man. He's a craftsman, been making things with his hands all his life. The last 20 years, he's been making windmills. They turn, they twirl, they shine in the sunlight. A whole yard full of windmills, each one unique, different from the others, brightly painted and lovingly crafted by Mr. Gimignani. How did you come up with the design? Did you get that out of a book?
No, there's no books you can buy about this. You just come up with your own ideas. You see, it took a lot of trials and errors to arrive to this design I have now. It's a very slow work. If I started from the beginning to do everything, to make the frame, the tail, and everything, would take me, the glued to the painting, would take about 6.5 hours.
And here we are playing with our toys here. You like to make these, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Look at this. The windmill turns.
It's a lot of fun making these things.
And it makes the little bird eat the corn.
Yeah.
And what is your bird doing? Just pecking? Is that a woodpecker?
Well, that's a woodpecker. Well, I made that, but it's not very beautiful. Well, I cannot make it sound any better than that.
Well, it has your own touch to it. I like this one, for sale, with the number 4.
I made that
too. Now, you also grew all of these flowers.
Oh, yeah, well...
How hard is it to keep all of this going like this?
Well, I tell you, like I said, flowers, you have to see these here, those got to be cut off, and now those will bloom. See, I'm a little bit far behind with my work. That needs a lot of attention here. But
well, it all fits together, doesn't it?
In a way, yeah, they all kind of harmonize together, yes. There's 1 wheel, 2 wheels, 3 wheels. They all are my favorite thing. They all runs beautifully, every one.
When someone comes and buys one of these, does it make you feel kind of bad to give it up?
No, I can't. I make them new ones all the time, even better. No, I like to sell them. It's okay. When the people come here and they decided to buy a windmill, you know, it makes me feel good for them to have one, because it beautifies their place and it brings them joy and happiness. And I like to make the people happy.
You know, they're so simple and yet so beautiful. These contraptions that turn in the wind. Windmills, handmade by the windmill man.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our special. And I'd like to thank Larry and Georgie Musselman, Michael Rubel, Beatrice Wyatt, and James Gimignani, not only for their hospitality, but for sharing their houses and their yards with all of us. And of course, I'd like to thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Huell Hauser.
Video Log is made possible through a generous grant from the Ralph M. Parsons Foundation.